Gen Z has zero middle ground when it comes to casual dating. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Isabella Cameron, and if you want to see more from me, please join my Patreon. I'll have it linked in the description or a QR code on the screen. If you want to see more behind the scenes of me, some special content, and Ask Isabella section weekly where I answer your questions, and a monthly book club, it'll all be on my Patreon. And the link to my new hats is in the description on my Shopify store, and it'll be linked in my Patreon. So you can get your very own Bad for the Brand hat before they sell out. Here's the deal. I've been seeing a lot of this on social media. I feel like Gen Z, and this bleeds into Christianity and secular, I feel like we've lost the plot on casual dating. I've seen a lot of people being like, I casual date all the time and I'm in a situationship all the time, and they do it kind of flippantly and are always with a new person. And then there's some people who are like so afraid to date because they don't want to do the wrong thing or too afraid to make a move, or they're just sick of dating and asking the same 10 questions in every date. And I think we need to talk about it because there is a happy middle ground and a way to do it that is God honoring. I think the biggest issue for me is that a large part of people in situationships or casual dating all the time, they're on the extreme of never without a boyfriend, never without a girlfriend, never without a situationship, never without talking. And I'm in a talking stage, is that it's for the purpose of entertainment and not the purpose of finding their future spouse. And it's a way to pass the time or get validation or to curb loneliness. And eventually it becomes an idol because it's something that you feel like you can't live without. I can't be alone. I need all my validation from being in a situationship or in a talking stage. And I want to talk about what that looks like on the other side, because as Christians, we are called to love other people and to love them well with honesty and respect and intention and self-control. And I don't think that dating is a game as much as sometimes it feels like that, especially when we're tired of it or we treat it so casually. I want to talk about the balance between having self-control and intention in dating without it becoming an idol or having a spirit of fear going into it. So first, we're going to start off with a Bible verse. Philippians 2:3-4. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. So I want to set the tone for this video first. We're going to be talking about what it looks like to do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, and in humility counting other people as higher than ourselves or more significant than ourselves. And that is what the Christian walk is supposed to be. For young people, this is how you're supposed to live your life. And I'm married. This isn't just when you're dating. This is in all parts of your life, in marriage, in dating, in singleness, in parenting, in all stages. This is how we're supposed to live. So with that tone, how do we look at something like dating? And I did a video on casual flirting and lustful speech about a month or two ago. And I had a lot of comments being like, yes, but I don't like, what does dating, what is it supposed to look like? What is casual dating okay? What about hookup culture? What about, I don't want my kids to grow up and be afraid to ask someone out because they're afraid of casually flirting and sinning. And real quick to cover that, flirting and dating is not a sin. I was talking about lustful flirting. If all of your speech when flirting with someone is about how hot they are and how lustful your mind is, that's what the sin is. Lust is the sin, and objectifying someone is a sin outside of marriage. Obviously, you can think your wife or your husband is hot. That's good. But outside of marriage, lust is wrong. So flirting, fine. Dating, fine. In a God-honoring way. I'm not condemning dating or flirting. I think you have to date in order to find your husband or wife. Duh. So here's some videos I've seen on social media. I wanted to kind of show you both sides of the spectrum of what I've been seeing. So here's the first one that's about being tired of casual dating.
And what's your favorite color? Yeah, no, that's a good one. Where are you from? Yeah, that sounds amazing. No, it must have been really nice to grow up there. What do you think went wrong in your last relationship? Yeah, communication.
So you get the gist of like being tired of asking the same 10 questions to all these different people and still not finding your person. So that's one side of it. And then the other side of it that I'm seeing is this.
I feel like situationships have become so much of a thing, especially this year, and I, for one, am sick of it. Almost everyone that I know is in a situationship, and it's not that, okay? And I have used that term. I still sometimes use that term because sometimes it's the best way to describe what you're in, but I think there is a slight disconnect. I feel like as a generation, we have forgotten what dating is, okay? We've forgotten that you can date someone without being in a monogamous relationship with them. That is what your situationship is. You are dating that person. If you are with someone, you've gone on a few dates, maybe you've had a sexual interaction, maybe you've kissed, whatever. You are casually dating that one.
Okay, I'm going to cut it off there because it's a long video. Yes. So the Gen Z situationship term, it's just casual dating. It's non-monogamous dating. Cool. So there's the people that are constantly in a relationship or a situationship. There's the people that are so sick of dating because they're tired of asking the same 10 questions over and over again. And let's talk about what Christian dating should look like. I think the first step is, if you're like, how do I do this? How do I date in a way that is God honoring? The first thing that you need to know is that you need to be in a place to be in a healthy relationship. You have to steward yourself well. And that looks like, okay, let me learn how to steward my emotions, my boundaries, my time, and to do that wisely, because you can't truly love someone or know that you're ready or they're ready for marriage if you're not in a healthy space spiritually, emotionally, and physically. And that's incredibly important to make sure that you are good on all those levels before you try and share your life with someone. And if you are a Christian, you are supposed to be dating for marriage. So don't get into a dating relationship if you know you're not in a place to be any kind of God-honoring love towards that person. It says in 1 Corinthians 6:19-20, you are not your own, for you were bought with a price. So glorify God in your body. Are you going to be able to glorify God with your spiritual health, physical health, mental health while in a relationship? Because not everybody is ready for that at the same time. You may not be in a position where you were able to stay stable and consistent for the most part. Obviously, we're not perfect, while also caring for the needs of someone else. Now, granted, they should also be caring for your needs spiritually, mentally, physically, but you need to be in a position where you're not constantly leaning on someone else all the time. You have to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. It says, Proverbs 4:23, keep your heart with all vigilance, for from it flows the springs of life. You need to be able to keep your heart. And what that means is like keeping it safe, like be able to keep your eyes fixed on Jesus even while in a relationship. Is that relationship potential or that you're already in, is it making you fix your eyes more on God or away from him? And that's the first thing you need to ask. Like, am I healthy enough spiritually to be able to do this? And if no, then you need to take some time with God, because we are the bride of Christ, like the church body. The Bible says we are the bride of Christ. Think of Jesus as your husband, your spiritual husband. God is your father. Focus on those relationships first before adding in another component. And when we go into like protecting your heart, you're not protecting just your heart, but you're also protecting the other person's. So if you're getting into emotional intimacy with someone, that kind of commitment can lead to confusion or pain or creating expectations that you're not fulfilling if you're not in a healthy place. You have to be honest about your intentions from the get-go. That's what protecting your heart and their heart is. Going into it, like, for example, the first sit-down conversation that I ever had with my husband now, after we've been friends for a while and we had like confessed feelings, we both said, I don't want to date for fun. Yeah, of course I want this to be fun, but I want to date for the purpose of future marriage. We were 18. We were not going to get married in a year. We were together almost 3 years before we got married. But we had the intention of like, this has a purpose and this has a plan. And we both went in with the same expectation and understanding that like this was going to be about honoring God in marriage one day. It says in Romans 12:9, let love be genuine, abhor what is evil, and hold fast to what is good. The Bible talks all the time, just in general, about honoring other people, about putting other people before yourself, about making sure that you don't cause your brother to stumble. Like, this is so important to God, and it's all over the Bible on a brother and sister in Christ standpoint, on a friend, family standpoint. But when you are emotionally, intimately involved with someone, there's even more risk for that. And that is not to scare you off from dating or marriage or anything like that, but it is to understand the gravity of what you are getting into. When you are emotionally entangled with someone, seeing them, talking to them daily, you are in the biggest position to hurt them. And if you've ever had an ex relationship that went bad, you know that. Like, breakups suck. It's weird to have known someone so intimately from high school or college or whatever that you've broken up with and don't talk to anymore. It's weird. I don't think that we are meant to do that. And if you're doing that regularly, that can cause so much hurt on your end and on their end. And if you're not moving towards marriage, what's the point, right? Like, the Bible doesn't talk about dating. There's no scripture for dating specifically, but there's a lot of talk about marriage. And it is something that is good for us. But it also says in 1 Corinthians 10:31, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all for the glory of God. So if you are not dating someone for the purpose of marriage, are you doing everything for the glory of God? And that's something you need to ask yourself. Dating is meant to discern if this person is going to be your spouse or not in a God-honoring marriage. And it's not supposed to just satisfy temporary feelings. So if marriage isn't even a distant possibility, like, okay, yeah, we were 18 and we knew we weren't going to get married in a year, but we knew that we would get married in maybe a few years. And if I did not see any type of marriage qualities in my now husband, there was no point in dating him. Like, the relationship I had in high school, that was never going to be marriage. I'm not going to say it's a waste of time, because I learned so much and I'm the person I am because of that relationship, and I'm thankful for it. But it was never going to be marriage. It just never was. It was not even a possibility. And it ended up with a lot of emotional hurt that I could have avoided. And, God uses everything for good. It says in Romans 8:28, and we know that in all things, God works together for the good of those who love him, who are called according to his purpose. That's one of my favorite verses. Like, he will work every good and bad thing to the good of those who love him. And I've seen that happen in a past relationship, but that doesn't mean that, like, I could have avoided that hurt and that hurt on the other person, So on the situation of, like, you always have a situation, you always have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a talking phase or whatever, or you're casually dating multiple people, I have a hard time of seeing how that's moving towards marriage in a God-honoring way. And while that is the culture, we are called to be countercultural. We are called to judge and hold accountable other believers. It is our direction in the Bible is to hold our brothers and sisters accountable. And so if you are a Christian, claiming the name of God, and you are casually dating, casually talking to a bunch of people all the time and can't be alone, that's a huge problem, and that's an idol. And you need to learn how to be alone with God in singleness. And then, yes, you should date people to figure out, like, okay, are they going to be my spouse or not? But in a way that is God honoring and keeping your intentions honest. And if you don't see marriage potential in some of these people, stop talking to them. It's not worth it. It's just not. And singleness is not a curse. I think people are so afraid of being single and date to not be alone. But when you idolize a person out of fear of being alone, you are putting them in a place where only Jesus can be. You are putting them on a pedestal that Jesus is supposed to be on. And they will never, ever fill that void. Ever. And they will fail, because we are all human and we all make mistakes. If I try and put my husband on the pedestal of God in my life, he will fail over and over again, because he was never meant to be God. He was meant to be my husband. And I will feel let down over and over again. It will turn into bitterness and anger. And that it was because it was out of alignment with the creation of how God made us. Like, I'm putting something in a place where it's not supposed to be. Whatever that idol is, if that's a boyfriend, if that's a husband, if that's literally anything, that thing will never fill you up, because we were created by God to be in relationship by God. And as soon as you try and get out of alignment of that, it sucks. I think that you need to ask yourself, do I want a boyfriend or a husband or a partner more than I want God's will? More than I want my relationship with God to be first? And that's a huge problem. It's not about the dating. It's not about the boyfriend. It's not about the husband. It's about the idolatry. It's about the relationship with God. When we look at, okay, how are we supposed to date practically, right? And I'm tired of asking the same 10 questions to every date. To that, yeah, that sucks. And like, a lot of my friends that are still single in their 20s are kind of burnt out on that, and they're pretty tired of having to go on dates and ask the same 10 questions over and over again. And what my advice would be is, like, pray about it. Maybe is this something that you just need to lay down for a season and let God bring someone to you, or he's, asking you to just not worry about it for a while. Or maybe it's something that you need to persevere in, and it's a way to, like, get you more out of your comfort zone and to meet more people and potentially even just make friends. And it's something that you just need to do. I don't think either answer is wrong. I don't think that pushing yourself to go on more dates and meet more people and ask the same 10 questions, even if it's only a first date and then it ends there. I don't think that that's wrong. I also don't think that it's wrong to like step back and be like, maybe I'm just tired right now and I want to focus on my relationship with God or my career or whatever's going on and take a break from dating for a second. Either answer, neither are wrong or should be shamed. I think the only issue that comes in is when you are going on a string of first dates to avoid your problems or to avoid taking your problems to God. That would be an issue. Or if you're avoiding dating out of fear because you don't want to be let down again, you don't want to be rejected, whatever the fear may be, we are not supposed to live in a spirit of fear. So if you're living out of, you're at peace with what you're doing, you are aligning yourself with God, you're spending time in the Word, you're spending time in prayer, I think whatever you decide to do is fine. And then when it comes to like practically dating as a Christian, dating is not sinful. Again, date with intention. If you want to ask someone out, do it. Don't be afraid of asking someone out. Rejection is part of life. The worst they can say is say no. And when you ask someone out, make your purpose clear, make your intention clear so that there's no assumptions or miscommunications. Like honoring God in dating and asking someone out is with honesty and intention and being clear with that. And if you don't see yourself marrying them, don't drag it out. Even if it's years in the future that you want to get married, don't drag it out because it's not fair to you or them. In Proverbs 6:3, it says, commit your work to the Lord and your plans will be established. When you truly commit your work to the Lord, whatever that work looks like, your plans will be established. That's what the Bible says. And when you're seeking God on like, God, is this the person that I should continue going on dates with? Is this the person that I should just let go? He will let you know if you are like honest and asking. And whether you are just starting out in a relationship, whether you're dating for a long time, you need to keep Jesus first. You need to keep your relationship with God first. A healthy relationship points you towards God, not away from him. And if someone is constantly distracting you from your faith, huge red flag. Don't missionary date. Don't do it. I'm not saying that it can never work out. My in-laws, my mother-in-law missionary dated. He's a pastor now. He's my pastor. Sometimes it works. There are cases. I'm not saying that it never works or that God can't use it, but it is not wise to do because we are not supposed to be unequally yoked in marriage. We are not supposed to marry unbelievers in marriage. But if dating is for the purpose of getting married, it is unwise to date someone that currently you don't see yourself marrying. And if you're dating, waiting for them to become a Christian, that can cause a lot of hurt. Again, not inherently wrong to date someone not a Christian, but not a wise or the wisest decision you can make. God can use all things, but we should do our best to make wise choices, okay? And then ask yourself, is this relationship God honoring? Are we both growing spiritually? Are they someone that I could serve and trust and work alongside for the rest of my life? Like this is going to be the person. Marriage is a huge deal. And I don't think people, especially young Christians, take that seriously enough because it's like, oh, well, the thing is, you go to school, you go to college, whatever you're going to do. You meet your person, you get married young and you have kids. And I think that there is a little bit of a reverence for marriage that has been lost. And part of that is like, you're just not going to get it that young. Like at 18 years old, I didn't know what I was in for. And even when I got married at 21, I didn't really know what I was getting into. And there's an aspect of that that's like, you really don't know till you're in it. And you can't escape that necessarily. But I do think as a church, we should be better at preparing people for that. Because oftentimes I feel like it's two extremes. It's either people being like, marriage is the best thing to ever happen to me and he's my best friend and we never fight. Or it's, yeah, my husband's the worst and I make fun of him all the time and degrade him around my friends and he's like never helps with the kids or never does anything and he's so annoying. And there's not really like a true honest in the middle of like, yes, marriage is awesome and you get to do things with your best friend. However, it is hard because you are living close quarters with someone and their sin directly affects you and your sin directly affects them. You get to see the best and worst of someone. And anytime that's going to happen, there is sharpening, there is conflict, there needs to be communication, and that is how it goes. Like it's going to be hard because you are the first person to be affected by someone's sin and vice versa. But it's also one of the most growing things you can do as a Christian. And so if you're actually thinking about like, okay, this is someone that's going to sharpen me and combat me the rest of my life. This is someone that's going to be like, if you're a woman, this is someone that's going to be in the room when I deliver a baby and be the one taking care of me after I have a child. This is going to be the person who is with me when my parents die and I'm grieving that. This is going to be the person that will be with me, you know, God forbid if I get cancer one day. Like, you know, top 5 worst things, cancer, sickness, death, whatever. That's going to be the person that's with you for all of that. So you need to choose well. And that's not like, don't let that get into a fear of like, I have to choose the right person or my life is going to end, or I have to choose the one person that God's created for me. I'm just saying, make sure it is someone that you see yourself being able to do those things with. And granted, you know, that may be 30 years in the future, but I know that based on the way that my husband is growing now and the person that he is now, that in 30 years, he's going to just be a better version of that. And I'm good with that. Final encouragements. Don't date unless you could see yourself potentially marrying them. Don't date if you are using it as an idol and a distraction from dealing with yourself with God. Protect your heart and the other person's heart, and do everything for the glory of God.